All right, welcome. Got another exciting guest here today on the In Conversation series on Rock Show Critique. Today we have none other than Mr. Uli Jon Roth. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Joe.
Oh, great to have you here. Yeah, no doubt. So you got a couple shows coming up here in our neck of the woods here. We're going to be playing at Sharky's in Syracuse on Friday, this coming Friday, May the 3rd. And
Yeah,
also at the Fort Hill Performing Arts Center in Canandaigua, which is outside Rochester, on Saturday, the day after, on May 4th. So that's two shows within driving distance of each other. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people out there and get this place get to see you in action here on these shows. You just played two sold out nights in New York City at the Iridium.
yeah.
How did those go? And up to this point, how has the tour gone for you?
Well, the Iridium was quite something. It was, well, it's an iconic place, you know. Les Paul used to play there on a daily basis almost, definitely towards the end on a weekly basis, and pretty much a lot of great players have played there. So yeah, it was nice to be there. A residency, a 2-day residency at the Iridium. And both shows went very, very well. In fact, it was 4 shows because every evening we're playing 2 shows, and they're 2 completely different sets. The first half is my solo set, which is more classical guitar, where I'm playing Vivaldi's Four Seasons with the orchestra on the screen, and I'm playing some flamenco guitar, playing some of my new music, and also introducing my new book, In Search of the Alpha Law. So, and then the second half after the intermission is with a full-on band, my band from Germany and England, and we're doing a rock set, with all the early Scorpions classics and some Electric Sun. So yeah, that's what we've been doing since California. It's already been a long tour. It's far from finished.
Yeah, definitely a long tour for you at this point in time. So speaking of touring, we might as well continue on with that subject here, since it blends nicely into it. So as far as touring goes, do you find you enjoy it more today than you have in the past? And a two-part question to follow, kind of all lump in with you here. What part do you like the least of touring, and what parts do you really enjoy on touring?
Um, Good question, but complicated to answer because things have changed, and there are some things that I enjoy more now, and some things that I enjoy less. I've always been a good traveler, but sometimes it gets a little tough. And there's a constant lack of sleep above all when you're playing in a different city every night. Particularly in the beginning of the tour, I find it difficult to settle into the rhythm because I'm an early riser, and no matter how late we are at night, sometimes we're literally 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. at night, and I'm an early bird, so I'll get up 9 o'clock straight, 8 o'clock, 7:30, and then of course, come showtime, I'm really tired, and my survival mechanism is I'll go into the back of my bus and I'll sleep like a chipmunk. I'll sleep for half an hour before the show, and that makes a huge difference. So yeah, so there are some things that are very enjoyable. I love meeting the fans. I love playing to all these different people, particularly in America. It's always very nice to tour here, because I find the people so open. They're almost like a bunch of 13-year-olds. They're totally enthusiastic, and there's no holds barred. They go with you wherever you go, with the music. And that's not necessarily the case in Europe. It can be the case in some countries, like in Greece, but in general, people are a little more reserved there, and I guess I prefer playing here because the audiences are not really reserved. They're listening. They're very musical, you know. But as I said, they go with you, and and sometimes that's needed because like in my first show, I do like a 10-minute guitar improvisation on my 9-string flamenco guitar, you know, which is always completely improvised. So it's always
Mhm.
completely different every night. And yeah, I need the audience to be with me on that one, you know.
All right. Well, you mentioned about your new book that is out there. It's In Search of the Alpha Law. Why don't you tell us all about how that all came to be and how you can get it and all that good stuff?
Well, it's a book that I started writing about 40 years ago when I first became intrigued by philosophy and spent a lot of time in my life thinking about things, you know. And so the Alpha Law is kind of the crystallized essence of all that I found to be interesting and inspirational. Basically, my view of life and my view of the world, seen through the eyes of a musician. It's not autobiographical, so there's very little of me in there on a personal level, but I'm sharing thoughts which are close to my heart and some unusual ideas which people might find interesting. It's a very big book. It's about that size, coffee table format, 600 pages, and like has about 1,000 images and illustrations. And I also designed the book myself completely because I wanted it to be artistic and I don't follow any commercial procedures. That's why I chose not to go with a publisher because they would tell me, you know, how to sell more copies or whatever, because in the end, they're thinking about sales. And I didn't when I wrote this book. To me, it's just pure from the heart. I wanted it untarnished by any commercial thoughts. Um, it's being printed, I think, at the end of the tour, and but people can buy vouchers, you know, for a few bucks. They can put their name in, and then they're being sent the book um, in due course. And so that's really it.
Okay,
We've
very.
we've got a couple of preview copies there on
Mhm.
our book stand, so people can have a look, you know. And I'm also showing some of the pages on screen, so yeah, to give an impression.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you about this fascinating sky guitar. How did that all come about? What brought on creating the sky guitar?
Well, that was also many years ago. During my Electric Sundays, even earlier than that, I literally ran out of frets on on the traditional Fender Stratocaster guitar. It has 21 frets, and I always wanted to go a little bit higher when playing a lead. I wanted to go as high as a violin or a piano. And so I came up with a new body shape that allows us to have extra frets and access. So the Sky guitar has a much broader musical range than a standard guitar. The normal electric guitar has about 3.5 octave range, and the Sky guitar has like almost 6 octaves. You know, the 7-string Sky guitar has almost 6 octaves, and that makes a big difference in terms of music, being able to perform different kinds of music. Like for instance, on the show, I will also play a little bit of my Metamorphosis concerto, which is based on Vivaldi's Four Seasons, which I've also recorded with an orchestra. And that's only possible and playable on the Sky guitar. if that was played on a normal guitar, I would have to transpose the music into different registers, and then it doesn't sound quite the same. So that's what's special about the Sky guitar, apart from the fact that it is literally all singing and dancing. It's very advanced. The latest models have lots of inbuilt effects and a sophisticated pickup generating tone generating system, called Mega Wing. So it's very much a cutting piece, cutting edge thing, the Sky guitars.
Yeah. How did the name come about?
That was my then manager, Dave Cork. We were on an airplane to America, I think, in 1983, and he said, "By the way, your Sky guitar," and I said, "Oh." He nailed it. It's a Sky guitar because of the reach. So it wasn't my idea. It was his idea. And it was just there in the air, I guess. He put his finger on it. It's a Sky guitar. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm, musically, I'm kind of obsessed with flying. My melodies, they're always soaring and they go higher and higher and swirling and do this kind of thing. So yeah, I love being 10 feet up from the ground and then some.
All right. Well, will
And
there
much. Give me 10,000 miles and I'll also be fine. That's outer space.
Okay. Now on your music, can we expect any new music down the pipeline here by the end of the year
I've
or
recorded
next?
I've recorded a lot last year, but
Mhm.
nothing is mixed as yet. But I'm playing some of the new pieces in the first set. Several, actually. You know, I would say about half of the first set every evening is composed of new pieces. So for those people who are interested in that, that's the moment to go to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, while we're on the album subject, seems like many classic rock artists have kind of shied away from making albums nowadays. A lot of them are just releasing individual songs or singles, they
Yeah,
call them.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I may do the same, because the album concept seems a little past its sell-by day because most people, particularly the younger generation, they don't have CD players anymore. They don't bond with the artist in the same way. It's all, iTunes driven and Spotify driven and download driven or streaming. So we are thinking about maybe releasing more packages, like 3 songs at a time that, you know, in one go. So that's probably the way we'll go with these.
Right, because you seems like you always kind of had like an art to making these albums. So for you to go to
Yeah,
that route, it might
yeah,
be
I know. I know, but I can still do that.
yeah.
You know, I mean, I can create artwork for just a single piece. In fact, I'm doing that as we speak because most of the pieces that I'm playing during the show, particularly in the first half, have a movie attached, which runs in sync, which I produced. I've got a vast library of moving images, a lot of which I've shot myself with my cameras because I learned photography very early on from my dad, and I always loved movie making. So to me, they're little pieces of art, and I take it very seriously, you know. So the screen at the back is important for my shows, particularly for these kind of shows. It's almost I'm seeing it almost like a little bit like an IMAX experience where I'm playing in front of the screen, but there is a storyline unfolding at the back, and I can do that with every song. So I'm producing images for every song as we speak.
Nice, nice. All right, well, let's take you back to the old Scorpions days here. I just got one question to kind of ask about that era. Now, when you guys got all together. I guess you were in another band, and then Klaus and Rudolph came aboard, and you guys kind of merged it into one band. Um, how did it come about that who because you did a lot of singing on the earlier albums there, a couple songs here and there. How did it come about that you sang on a couple songs? I think even Rudolph sang a tune. Was that
Well,
just by
in the
choice?
beginning, yeah. Well, in the beginning, we weren't too concerned about these things, you know. At first, you're right. At first, Rudolph basically joined my band because the Scorpions had broken apart completely. After Michael Schenker left, after the first album, which was Lonesome Crow, the Scorpions had broken apart. And Rudolph was still there. And Rudolph sat in, he came to a few rehearsals of my band, Dawn Road, and he liked it, and we formed a new unit. And then I said to Rudolph, call Klaus Meine. We need him to sing, you know. And Rudolph said, well, Klaus really doesn't want to do this anymore. He's fed up, you know. Basically, that was the bottom line, you know. I'm just paraphrasing. And Rudolph said, well, why don't we sing, just you and me? And I said, this is such a lousy idea because we're both not
Mhm.
real singers, you know. We can croon, but we're not singers. We need Klaus Meine. He's a great singer, you know. So after some time, maybe a month or so, he finally called Klaus, and Klaus came to the rehearsal and he liked it. And we were the new Scorpions then, you know. And we called the band Scorpions because Scorpions already had a record deal. They were already established, whereas my outfit, Dawn Road, was just basically a high school band, you know. And I was mainly playing classical guitar at that time. I did very little electric, you know. So yeah, it was a foregone conclusion that we call it Scorpions, and and very soon then the rest is history, you know.
Mhm.
We recorded Flight to the Rainbow, and then one album every year, yeah, for 5 years.
And like, how did it come to be that you would sing like Drifting Sun, Hellcat, Polar
Well,
Nights?
you know, I tell you, because I came from a background, I was into Jimi Hendrix, you know, and singing songs was kind of normal, you know. And a lot of these blues singers weren't actually great singers, you know. I came from that background where you're almost
Mhm.
just talking, you know, like a bard, you know. In fact, Drifting Sun, a lot of people thought I was a big Dylan fan. I'm a big Dylan fan now, but back then I actually didn't even know Bob Dylan, you know. So that was kind of almost coincidental that I went down that route, you know. Um, it just the songs that I wrote, they were suitable for my voice and not so much for Klaus in the beginning,
Mhm.
you know. I wrote like Dark Lady for the which was the opener of the Entrance album, you know, and
Mhm.
I wanted Klaus to sing it. And then the producer, Dieter Dirk, said, no, you sing that one because it's more suitable for you. And then Klaus ended up just embellishing it, you know. And the same was with Polar Nights and so. These songs were not really written for real singers. It was more my style of the talking voice, you know, like a little bit bluesy or whatever, pentatonic, I would say. But there were some songs like Yellow Raven that were right up Klaus' alley, and he sang them beautifully, you know. Or Evening Wind was one that I wanted to sing, but Klaus heard, he said, no, no, that's for me. I remember that. Good thing too. Of course, he's much better than I am and in these things, and that was good for the piece of music, you know.
All right. Well, what else you got going on coming up? Anything you could share with us? What you plan on doing the rest of the
Well,
year?
I'm going to do a lot of oil painting in the summer. I used to oil paint, but I haven't done it in 30 years, but I've been bitten by the bug again.
Mm.
And so I've got all my canvases prepared and got the colors and paints, and the brushes. So I can't wait. Um, um, Even on the tour bus, I snuck into Walmart the other day and I bought myself some acrylics that I started painting in the back of the bus because I need to be creative, otherwise I go mad. And on a tour, it's hard because you have so little time, and or you're exhausted. And I've got constantly got interviews or meet and greets and gigs, and I'm on stage for so many hours, including even doing a guitar seminar in the day sometimes. So there's very little time. Today we've got an off day here in Massachusetts, and I've just brought all my painting and drawing stuff into the room. I can't wait in the afternoon. Yep, that's what I'll be doing. And other than that, we've got some festivals in the summer. We're going to do a European tour in the autumn with this program, basically, or these two programs. And next year, I'm planning to do some orchestra shows because that's really my favorite thing to do, to work with orchestras. And we had that going just before COVID, and then it all got canceled again. So it's time to take that up again.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, once again, to reiterate, you'll be playing in Syracuse at Sharky's Friday, May 3rd, this coming Friday. Saturday in Canandaigua, New York, just outside Rochester at Fort Hill Performing Arts Center. And it'll be great.
We're also playing in Great Yarmouth tomorrow, which is a great venue, but that's a little further travel. But sometimes our fans are not afraid to travel. They do some ridiculous distances sometimes. I'm always amazed.
Yeah, and then I think next week you'll be playing in Toronto, which isn't too far from this area either. So,
Exactly. We're
yep.
going to we're going to Canada. We're doing a few shows there, and then we're going back south again, ending up in Texas. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. It sounds like you're going to be pretty busy the rest of your stay out here.
Yeah.
So I wish you good luck with everything that you do for the rest of the year here
Sure.
and everything. And it was great talking to you.
Thanks, Joe. My pleasure.